All right, here we go. We should be live in 5, 4, 3.
So then I told him, no, I was just helping that goat over the fence.
Who are you talking to?
Just talking to myself.
That was great.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. So we got the feed going. Now we got to get some folks here. Hey, you've been streaming live on Facebook pretty consistently, right? Did you say
Why I've got, what is going on?
Here, turn your camera on. What do you see?
Oh, I see the show plate.
Yeah, good. All right, were you confused?
I keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again.
Are you probably have the show playing on your computer somewhere.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
All right. Well, yeah, I opened up the watch page. That's what the watch page was.
Yeah, if you have the watch page up, you got to hit mute.
Oh, you didn't tell me that part.
Yeah, because it will play.
Yeah.
I have a preview on the live control room.
Yeah.
I have the watch page up, which I don't really need. I should just get rid of that. And then I have I use my iPhone for a monitor. So go figure. But hey, let's get started. So
yeah. So yes, I have been streaming live a lot on Facebook lately.
You have. Okay. Well, let's talk about that. Welcome, folks. We're here, Autoconverse on air. This is our live weekly broadcast. And today is, let me start that over because I looked down and I was going to stop sharing my screen. All right.
There we go.
So welcome to today's show, AC on air, Autoconverse on air. This is our live weekly webcast. And this is where we focus on how we're connected and how we get around. And we're here to have a good time. And I'm Ryan Gerardi. So thank you for joining us. Today is Wednesday, June 5th. So happy hump day and happy hot air balloon day. That's right. Today is hot air balloon day. The hot air balloon is the oldest form of flight technology used for carrying humans. And it was the first manned flight was in 1783. And so as we know, the hot air creates like an envelope, and that's hotter than the air around it. So I guess the farther north you are, the better. And then the gondola carries us up and brings us up. And that's pretty cool. So today is the annual celebration of Hot Air Balloon Day. And my wonderful co-host, Terry, sent me a picture today. What do you have, your own personal hot air balloon? Is that what
that was the weirdest thing. I sent that picture. Is there any way you can show it? Can you pop it up there? It was that was about 15 years ago, I think. And my kids were small at that time, and we're asleep on Sunday morning, and we hear this
right?
And the kids get up and run to the window and start saying, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, look in the backyard!" And this giant hot air balloon just landed in our backyard, and from the Vanderbilt Medical Center just popped down in the backyard there. They I guess they were having flight trouble and they were looking for a patch of green, and our yard was the patch of green, so they just landed in the yard. And 5 minutes later, a truck pulled up in the driveway, and they packed it up, threw the gondola in the back of the truck, and folded it up and headed on their way. The whole thing lasted about 5 minutes.
They got that thing deflated and packed up in 5 minutes.
You turn off the jets, and there's no hot air holding it up. Boom, it's gone.
I guess that's true. Well, yeah. At least everyone was safe. I just thought that was funny because I recognized the view that was your backyard.
Yeah.
What are the chances of that? So
it's never. I've been waiting for it to happen again, and it's never happened again. But that was a wake up call on a Sunday morning.
Well, you will have to get your own. Get your own hot air balloon.
Yeah, I like it here on the ground.
Well, listen, I don't think Big Tom LaPointe is joining us because I don't see him, haven't heard from him. So Tom, I hope you're okay. But Tom LaPointe was supposed to be up here. This was going to be the Tom and Terry show.
A triad. So it's the Terry and Ryan show.
We'll have to try it again some other time. Quick shouts out. Last week we had Eric Milch and James Clauson from Dealer Teamwork, and had just a great conversation that started off around Jeff Bezos's comments, I guess you could say, on the auto industry, commenting how interesting and fascinating he finds the auto industry. And so we got in a little bit about Amazon, and that podcast is available. So if you're subscribed to the Auto Converse podcast, you've probably already found it, but it's labeled Merchandising, Personalization, and Optimization, I think is what it's called. You Terry, you caught some of that conversation?
I did a little bit. I read the notes, and I definitely read Bezos's comments. So everybody's coming for it. The transportation industry is in everybody's gun sights. Everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Well, I liked where that conversation went, because reality is, and James brought this up, that it's not so much about Amazon selling cars per se, but it's just how they're involved. And Amazon's invested into companies like Rivian, and I just blanked on the other one that they're invested into, but autonomous vehicles and self-driving cars and whatnot. So Amazon doesn't have to sell cars because of their reach and influence. They can offer a wedge into to selling whatever it is they want to sell, and they may not sell it, but they can definitely make it easy for somebody else to get in there and get a piece of the pie, whoever that may be. It remains to be seen. Yeah, well, mobility as a service, that's where they're going to be playing. That's where a lot of these companies are playing. And something we're going to bring up today here, and I'll wrap it up. So today we're going to talk about Uber's partnership with Fair, which kind of on the heels of one of our guests from a couple of weeks ago. We had Stefan Ferry from FlexDrive. They just announced their partnership with Lyft. I shouldn't say just announced. It's I think they're a couple years in. What else we got? Merrill-Lynch slashes EV. It's EV forecast. I'll have a little bit of info on that. And then all these rumors of a Ford GM merger. Right. Really, when I looked into it, Terry, really had me taken back. So we'll chat about that.
It sounds shocking. I mean, it's mind-numbing shocking, but when you start to look at the numbers, it looks almost inevitable. I mean, it looks like it's a thing that might even have to be.
Well, I want to get into that. I have some thoughts on that, and not that my opinion matters, but I definitely wouldn't mind talking about. So let's do this. Thanks, folks. If you're tuned in live, Tiffany, I saw you up here. So what's up, Tiff? And congratulations on your new gig. If you're on the recording, great to have you here. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you for tuning into the podcast. And if you haven't already, folks, we have a text code set up. And if you text the keyword autoconverse to 64600, we will send the show to your handy little phone right here. And you can tune in from your phone or catch the video replay later. So be sure to do that. All right, my man. So what do you think? Where do you think we should start?
Let's start with Ford. That's Ford and GM. That's huge. I mean, I like fell out of my seat. I dropped my popcorn when I read that, as the old saying goes. It's like, Ford and GM, what? Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and I mean, how do Ford and GM combine? What will the NASCAR people do? What will rednecks fight about? I don't. How are you going to? If Ford and GM are the same thing, how's this even possible? And what it goes to show you is the decreasing importance of the North American market. What rednecks in Alabama and race fans think about the Ford and GM merger is probably way down their list of things that's important to them.
Well, you're right. It definitely taps into kind of a cultural, just a cultural, plate shift, if you will. But here's the other thing. It's not just Ford and GM that apparently are looking at this. You've got Chrysler, FCA, and Renault looking at a partnership. So, you got VW, which is tons of brands, right?
And then heads and shoulders far and away the number one manufacturer in the world.
Sure, globally. And I think that's what all this comes down to, is that everyone's after the global market. No automaker is content with just being, a continental or a national brand. It's all about the global market.
Yeah. So VW and Toyota are far and away leading on a global scale, and everyone else is just trying to catch up with that.
Do you think, Terry, that's going to open up the idea open up the kind of the boutique car makers? I mean, here's what's funny. Tesla is kind of thumbed by the auto industry because of their size, right? As if they have to prove themselves to get with the big guys. But then you've got companies like, I'll say, Karma Automotive, okay, which is is a national player. If you're familiar with Karma Automotive, based out of Southern California, if everyone's going global, then doesn't that leave room for the mom and pop makers,
for the specialty brands and possibly? But the other question is, again, going back to mobility as a service, how important are the manufacturers going to be? That's so the manufacturer, no one knows who makes buses. That's not, there's no big fight over who the big bus manufacturer are. That's just, you just get on the bus. And, Boeing is the biggest plane manufacturer, but for the most part, unless you start hearing about 737s crashing, you don't care who makes the plane that you got on. You just, the fight then becomes between the airlines. And it's a wild world, and there's a lot of things going into play. And I think that's why you see so much happening, that people are trying to get big. The Ford and GM have to be big in case there's only room in the world for 5 manufacturers. They need to be one of the 5. And right now they're not in the top 5.
All I can think of when we talk about conglomerates and mergers is the greed of capitalism. Yeah. I'm a big fan of capitalism, but there's a level of greed within capitalism that I'm perplexed by. Like, why can't you just be content with having a piece of, it's just, everything seems to merge and converge. Dealerships, it's happening with dealerships, big box stores, right? You've got Target, Walmart, Costco. It's like everything has to be big and global.
Well, and I think that one of the things I end up talking about a lot is automation and the sales process, and the people get big and they automate stuff, and they try to pull all of the fat out of it to make everything skinny. So it's going to boil down almost at every level. It boils down to one thing. So there's going to be big and automated and less personal. And, the Amazon, where you push a button and something gets delivered to you. And then there's going to be something with the human touch. There's a concierge, there's person to person human, the extraordinary white glove service. And I think I'm thinking, like a lot of things going in the world, we're splitting things down to a bipolar level. It's going to be this or that, one or the other.
Well, one area that you and I disagree, or at least that I disagree, is about that automation makes things impersonal. But because there is a role that automation plays. In fact, here's what's funny. I was going to mention this last week when Eric Milch was on. We looked at his 2019 predictions for automotive. And the very first one, if I get it verbatim, was automation in marketing is going to make people happy. And I actually thought he was being tongue in cheek, but he wasn't. Right. And he went into why it is making our lives better. But I know where you're coming. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. You feel like it impersonalizes things.
Well, it impersonalizes, and it especially automation in marketing, when you're getting emails that that they're poorly timed. Bad automation, and most of the automation I see is done poorly. Most of the IE I see is done poorly.
I find automation high maintenance. Hey, real quick shout out. One of our viewers, first time viewers, stopped by. He noticed that you had Sully up on the shelf behind you. Says he has the same Sully as well.
Where did his boo? Ask him where his boo went. My daughter has the boo. I have Sully.
All right. So Jason, if you caught that, you'll have to chime in and let us know where the boo is. Okay, so Chrysler or FCA, Renault want to merge, Ford, GM want to merge. It's all about economics. It's all about global domination. It's bizarre, but we'll keep an eye on it. I'm against it. I say focus on focus on product, focus on, there's this big shift. It's funny. Merrill-Lynch just came out with their EV forecast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they've downgraded all their numbers. In fact, let me find
for EV
here.
penetration.
Yeah. Let me find here. So basically here's what it comes down to. So electric cars, the Merrill-Lynch, they revised their forecast because it now believes that the total EV costs are not coming down as fast as were expected. So things like, battery prices and whatnot. So it slashed its sales forecast in half, says EVs will now reach only 5% market share by 2025, which is down from its previous estimate of 10%. And by 2013, they'll reach only 15%, which is half of what they had estimated previously. Also says the average transaction price for EVs in 2025 will be $42,000, which actually seems high right now, but 6 years from now.
What's the average transaction price for
EVs now?
No, for regular cars now, for gas powered cars.
I'd say it's in the low to mid 20s.
Okay.
I mean, if you think of the brands, the mainstream brands, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, right? Maybe throw in, those are the big ones. Okay.
Right.
I mean, most of those cars are going to be in the high teens, low 20s for the most part.
Yeah.
The new Chevy Trailblazer just came out. It's like $22K.
That's the advertising price though. You can't buy one for that.
I know. Like I bought a Jeep Cherokee, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And paid like pretty much $30,000 for it.
Right. Yeah.
It's advertised at like 24 to 26. So.
Right.
But anyway, I thought that was pretty fascinating, just that they're slashing their estimates that much. I mean, EVs really have struggled to take off. They really have.
Yeah, I think the battery. Of course, the issue, of course, is battery and range anxiety and all that, and the battery technology isn't advancing the way that it needs to advance. And also just mining and getting the precious metals that are needed. What are they called? The rare earth minerals that are needed to make these batteries is becoming more of a hiccup than I think people expected. And
it's funny. China just threatened to basically oust the international community from getting those minerals.
Right, because they own most of them because they have so much land over there. So.
Yeah. Was it Tom Clancy wrote, was it Bear and the Dragon, when China and Russia go to war?
Yeah.
Right. And it was over land on the border.
Right.
And for those natural resources.
All right.
Hey, Jason says Boo is still attached to his Sully.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also says, good point here. FCA has been at the bottom of CSI scores for years, and Renault will probably take a serious hit to their reputation by merging. FCA, from a value standpoint, from a market cap, is worth far more than Renault. But FCA can't get global. They can't get international, and that's why they need Renault.
Right. Yeah, I think the national market, the U.S. market, people have kind of been dogging on Ford because Ford's in trouble. Their market cap's been cut in half. They've had to slash all their sedans, but they're in the truck business, and I think they're Ford from what it looked like is they kind of because they don't have a great presence in China the way GM does, which is GM's main benefit for a merger, is that Ford is the Chevy is baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet, but Ford now is the American brand. They've got the number one best-selling truck, and this is truck country, and so Ford looked like they kind of set themselves up to stick to America.
So that makes sense. So if you think about it, GM has GMC and they have Chevy trucks, right? Both solid trucks. So I think from GM's standpoint, to bring on Ford as just a truck brand, that does kind of make sense. But now here's a twist to it. Tesla is working on a pickup,
right?
That is expected to blow the doors off of the tow capacity of any pickup that's out there, and be an EV, of course, as well.
Yeah, if they're going to do that, they're going to have to put something on that EV to make it go vroom, because I don't think they're not going to sell any trucks. Nobody wants a whisper quiet, big old honking truck. That's not what they buy them for.
Do you know there's actually technology that is being incorporated into EVs specifically to make noise, more for a safety feature than anything?
All right, I almost got ran over by one. I was in a parking lot one time, and this, I was walking across the parking lot, and this all of a sudden, phew, and the EV just flew right past me. I had no idea they were there, and I dropped my popcorn. It was
Dude, you have the best one-liners. Folks, if you have not gotten this book, this is Terry's book, Better. What's been out about 2 years now?
Actually, it came out in December of 2015, so 3.5 years it's been out.
#1 seller on Amazon.
Yep.
Over 100 reviews. Congratulations!
Thank you.
I'm tickled that I was the 100th review up there. But so many good one-liners in here. This book will change your life. Self-help for the rest of us. And he did not pay me to say that.
Not a dime.
No. No. By the way, did you ever pay that invoice?
No. That's why I said I didn't pay a dime. Not a dime.
It's too bad Tom couldn't make it, man. I was looking forward to that guy getting back on the air. You know, so a lot of folks that tune in would know Tom LaPointe, Big Tom. He's working now for Preston Automotive Group out of the Baltimore area. He's basically overseeing e-commerce for about, I think, close to a dozen stores. But Tom, I got to give Tom kudos here. When few years ago, when I was selling advertising for Dealer Refresh, I was toying with Kirshner with these ideas for doing a show. And for like a year, we would talk about it, but we never executed on any. And I just couldn't imagine doing a show for Dealer Refresh by myself. Like, it just didn't make sense. And so I was at Matt Koenig's Rockstar Auto event in Dallas, and I was doing some live interviews there, and I just met Tom. I'd known him socially for a while, but just met. And he did some interviews with me, and I'm like, dude, you're good at this stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, yeah, I used to do broadcasting back in the military. So he's got experience in that. So I told him about the show concept, and he was all on board. And so we launched Refresh Friday. If it wasn't for Tom, I don't think we would have launched Refresh Friday, because I just didn't want to do it alone. And where Jeff was, they're still doing it. I don't think they've changed it really much. It's Alex Snyder and Jeff. But man, Tom, if you can get your butt back in here, like just once a month, it'd be good. He's good.
And shout out to all the folks at Preston. I've known the folks at Preston for a long time, 20 some odd years. My father my father is paraplegic, and he has a handicap van that we bought used from Preston of Millsboro, I believe the store. I drove 12 solid hours to buy a van from a Preston store and turned around.
Kidding.
Turn around and drove back. Here, let me tell you an interesting story. I drove all night and drove across the Baltimore Bay Bridge there in the middle of the night and had no idea what it was. So the next day I pick up this handicap conversion van that's a little higher, a little wider than what I'm used to driving. And I turn around on like 2 hours sleep, and I'm driving back to Nashville and have to drive across this bridge again. In this van, I'm not used to driving, with the wind whipping back and forth. It's the scariest bridge in the world, and I'm afraid of heights. And I got halfway across the bridge, and I was petrified. I was white knuckling it and just driving just like this. I slowly moved to the center lane and drove about 10 miles under the speed limit in the center lane, 10 and 2 with eyes directly ahead of me. But because there are actually people who get paid to drive other people across that bridge. And at one point I'd considered stopping and just, I'm just going to stop.
How high up is that bridge?
200 feet above the bay. So it's about 20
I didn't know that. Are you familiar with the Mackinac Bridge?
In Michigan, I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
That's a treacherous bridge. Cars get blown off that all the time.
Yeah.
Golden Gate can be that way, but you're not going to get blown off because it's got the cables.
It's got all the cables, and you're kind of encased in the Golden Gate. I've never driven across the Golden Gate, but I did run across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes, you did. When I read that in your book, I just imagine you like got your arms out.
Yeah.
With the Chariots of Fire background music going on.
Eye of the Tiger. That was my thing. Eye of the Tiger.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, folks, we like to keep this to about a half hour. So probably kind of get the wind down started. Terry, you brought up, I think, a really cool just thought. And, you know, I do like to kind of, I don't know, really draw back to past guests. And so you brought this article up about busyness being a sickness. And it's funny because we have talked about this recently, Rob Holman and I, on the White Collar Therapy Show, which I do every other Monday. And then last week when Eric Milch was on and we did his automotive predictions, one of his predictions was that the whole hustle mentality was that whole kind of trend was going to catch up to people and become unpopular.
Oh, I hope so. I hate it. So, I hate the hustle culture, the busy culture, the you know, I hate everything about that.
So tell us about the article, why being busy is a modern sickness.
Well, the article that I read, there's a couple of things. There was a video that goes with it. The video was simply about meditation and becoming aware and about mindfulness. But the point is why this is a modern thing is because we have so many distractions, you know, from our phones and we have, you know, multimedia channels and we've all got so much going on that we kind of get lost into it. And it's like a feedback loop. The busier we become, the busier we get, and we stay busy in order to stay busy, so we don't have to think. Because we're not comfortable being alone with our thoughts. We're not comfortable just being here, and we have to stay busy. And from a sales standpoint, and like I said, I work with a lot of automotive salespeople. From a sales standpoint, that, you know, they wear it like a badge of honor. I'm a hustler. I'm a grinder. I'm 10 times this, and they do that a lot of times in lieu of productivity. Because I always look at it as, if you're hustling and working 80 hours a week, you must be really bad at your job.
Right.
If it takes you 80 hours a week or 70 hours a week to do what you need to do, you are not anywhere near as productive as you need to be, because production is a time measure. There's a time component. And if you're putting that much time in, that just means you're not productive at it. And I think because of Facebook, everyone, you know, sometimes it's hard to put a label on productivity. There's nothing to brag about productivity, so it's just easy to brag about being a hard worker and hustling and putting all the grind in, and it makes you feel bad about it makes you feel better about how unproductive you truly are.
Well, we definitely, I think, as individuals have different ways of coping with uncomfortableness. So for some people giggle and laugh when they get nervous. Some people get talkative when they get nervous. Some people, you know, when they get into a social setting, have to have alcohol right away just to be comfortable. So they've all got that. And then, if I would definitely say I am personally prone to busyness, in the sense that I'm always wanted to be doing something productive, not busy for the sake of being busy. I know people that, I remember my grandmother used to always kind of shuffle around the house and just always be busy doing something. That's what relaxed her mind. Yeah. You know, for me, I don't know. I'm trying to do.
Relax may not be the word. That's what quieted her mind. Right. And that's what the article is. That's what's quieted her mind. If you're constantly doing something, then you can kind of quell the thunderstorm of thoughts bouncing around in your head, and you don't get lost in whatever it is that maybe you're truly anxious about. And so external busyness is a medication for internal busyness, because most people don't know the real way to quiet that internal busyness.
Sure. And obviously, as the article points out, and I know that you recommend this, and I as well, is, you know, if you can learn to meditate on a daily, if not on a regular, if not daily basis.
Right.
You know, the problem with meditation, I know for most people, is we're so conditioned to expect something.
Right. Exactly.
So, and the whole idea of meditation is to do nothing.
Is to learn not to expect anything.
Right. If you read the Tao Te Ching.
And I have.
Okay, so you know the Tao Te Ching, and this
Sure.
little book, by the way, is great. I've been reading it since I was 15. In this translation, the John C. Wu translation, he refers to meditation as the state of non-ado.
Yeah.
Right.
Wu Wei.
The whole idea is the state, which is impossible really to completely shut off your mind. As you said, these weather patterns of, these currents of thought just come through there. It's a matter of recognizing that it's a thought and then putting it away.
It's about learning not to be controlled by your thoughts, and it's about letting go, not letting your thoughts control you, and not trying to control your thoughts, just being here now.
Well, we might have to do Hump Day Zen together. I used to do a live Periscope every Wednesday called Hump Day Zen, and I would just focus on just trying to get some Zen in your life. So maybe I'll incorporate it into this show. But hey, man, we're at the bottom of the hour, so I think we got to wind this puppy down. But I'm glad you found that article. Let me just do a couple of announcements real quick. Closing ceremonies here. So I'm going to share my screen. So as I mentioned, the podcast from last week's show with Eric Milch and James Klaus has been released. Merchandising, personalization, optimization. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed to the podcast and listening. It's great watching that grow. And if you like the podcast, want to help us out, do me a couple of things. Let somebody know about it, and also hit the either the Google Play or the iTunes store and post a review, a rating and a review for us. And Terry, I forgot to mention, we have a special giveaway to do today. So, all right, let's see. Where is, did I forget to bring it up? I might have forgotten to bring it up. No, it's up here. Give me 1 second. I know it's up here. No, maybe not.
Your tab line could use a little Zen, man. You got a lot going on up there.
I meant to bring this up here. Okay. So, and if you just saw, I just released my conversation with Dane Seville from Reunion Marketing that he was on 2 weeks ago. Great conversation around the media strategy that he's launched with Reunion Marketing called KPI Cafe. But all right, folks, here's the deal. Next month, June 18th, 19th, and 20th is the Automotive CX Summit Series. It's actually 2 back-to-back summits. They're both basically a day and a half. So you have the 15th annual Automotive CX Summit. That's focused on customer experience. And then you have the Auto CX Analytics and AI Summit. Now, the 20% off registration has expired. So shouts out to everyone that took advantage of that. I know Mike the Car Guy is going to be there, and there are a few others. I don't even know the names of everybody. But you have to check this out. This is good stuff. We are doing a free dealer ticket giveaway. We have 2 tickets to give away to the Summit Series. And if you look at the prices, these are great tickets. These are about $1,500 a piece. And so we are giving away 2 free dealer passes. But check this out. There's a tech expo. You got the Audi e-tron vehicle on display there with Amazon's in-car voice system. Mm-hmm. Lexus has a mixed reality holographic display, and Digital Airstrike will be there doing demos of Facebook Portal and Oculus Go. That's virtual reality. But check out the lineup here. I mentioned Karma Automotive. Their VP of Global Sales will be there. You've got a few manufacturers there. I mentioned Audi, Honda. Some large dealer groups are going to be there. Arian Walker from Amazon will be there. So this is going on in Marina Del Rey. I will be there reporting live from you there. So if you want the ticket giveaway, here we go. Do you know what it is? Do you know the Easter egg, Terry?
That was, are you still doing the Tyrion Lannister thing?
Uh-huh.
All right, yeah. I do.
All right. So this came up on a past show. And if you go to the Autoconverse podcast, you can find it. What kind of car does Tyrion Lannister drive from Game of Thrones? Get me the answer to that. The first 2 people to respond to that, you will get a pass. And if 2 of you want to go from your dealership and you get it early enough, we can probably give you 2 passes for your dealership. But what kind of car does Tyrion Lannister drive? Find that episode, find the answer in there, and post it anywhere. you can direct message me, but post it anywhere and we'll get that to you. 2
All right.
free passes. All right. So next week we have Gavin Sherry coming on from Autonomic. You've probably not heard of Autonomic. They're a startup. They're a startup. And I should have brought my notes up about that, but Gavin Sherry will be on. And then the week after that, I just mentioned I'll be at the Auto CX Summit in Marina Del Rey. We'll have Mike, the car guy, on as well. Happy birthday, Mike Carrera.
Yo, Mikey.
Happy birthday, Sean Rains.
Yeah.
And anyone else who's got a birthday as well. All right, man, we good to go?
All right. It's been a pleasure as always. Tom, we'll catch you next time.
Next time, Tom. Terry will be back no later than a month from now. We're going to do an Independence Day special on Wednesday, July 3rd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks to those. America. Hey, thanks to everyone that tuned in live, first-timers, last-timers, regulars. We appreciate you being here. Ryan Gerardi, Terry Lancaster, we're going to go ahead and turn off our cameras, and then we will shut down, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.